Pooh Shiesty didn't just become a rapper. He was raised in a gangster family where crime came before music. Now this is how he made it out of that world and turned his life into one of the most talked about runs in rap. Lontrell Williams Jr. was born on November 8, 1999 in the Canebrake section of South Memphis. Now this neighborhood is a specific geography within the 38109 zip code, where the Memphis Police Department maintains a permanent tactical presence. Man, in Canebrake, the radius of a man's life is often determined by the curb. So Lontrell grew up in a household where federal law enforcement was a tangible factor. His father was Lontrell Williams Sr. Now he operated as a rapper under the name Mob Boss and founded the local label, Chopper Gang. Now the other Williams spent a significant portion of Lontrell's childhood in federal prison on drug trafficking charges. Now this left Lontrell to be raised primarily by his moms. Now he navigated a reality where the criminal justice system was an active participant in his family tree. Yeah, the absence of his pops was a systemic norm rather than an individual choice back then. The name Pooh Shiesty wasn't the product of a corporate focus group. Pooh was a childhood nickname. Shiesty was a descriptor of the cold and opportunistic nature of the streets. Now his bro, Tita P, gave him that name before his own death. In South Memphis, music functions as social currency. It's used to verify identity and document reality. And for Lontrell, rapping was the localized tradition. See, it was a way to record a life where the distance between the front porch and the precinct was razor thin. He didn't look for the industry. He simply spoke into microphones and neighborhood studios until the world started listening to him. Now by 2018, Lontrell began recording with his childhood friend, Rodney Wright Jr. Yeah, the rest of the world knows him as Big 30. Now their partnership was rooted in proximity rather than strategy. They moved through independent recording hubs that existed outside the reach of the national music business. Now their first major collab was a track called Breaking News. It was a technical display of the Bluff City sound. Yeah, this piece had high-frequency hi-hats and minor key piano loops. Lontrell's delivery was also devoid of melodic polish. Now this hit was an aggressive and factual report on its surroundings. The track gained massive regional traction because it resonated with listeners who lived in the same type of joints described in the lyrics. Now the momentum shifted from the streets to the charts in 2019. He independent released Hell Night, and that proved that his localized reporting had a little bit of a national reach to it. Without a booking agent or a formal distribution deal, his YouTube views began to rival those of established artists. Now this digital traction caught the attention of Gucci Mane, of all people. The Atlanta legend was looking to anchor his 1017 Records imprint with a new generation of Memphis talent. Now the signing in 2020 represented a bridge between the South of Memphis streets and the global infrastructure of Atlantic Records. It was a formal validation of the persona that Lontrell had been building up. But a contract didn't provide an exit from the lifestyle that had created his sound. The commercial peaked in November 2020 with the single Back in Blood. Featuring Lil Durk, the track was a minimalist masterclass. It peaked at number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it eventually reached 8X Platinum status. Now this success cemented Lontrell as a national figure. His debut commercial mixtape, Shiesty Season, followed in November of 2021. Now that project debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and moved 52,200 units in its first week. The data revealed a significant shift in listener habits. Approximately 97% of those units came from streaming. Now this indicated a massive and digitally native fan base that bypassed all traditional retail outlets. While his voice was everywhere, his physical reality remained tied to high-risk environments. On October 9, 2020, an incident occurred in Bay Harbor Islands, Florida, that changed the trajectory of his career. Lontrell and 2 associates arrived at a hotel in a rented lime green McLaren 720S and a black Maybach. Yeah, they was there for a transaction involving some high-end sneakers and a bunch of weed. Unfortunately, the situation devolved into a shooting that left 2 people injured. One victim was shot in the butt while another attempted to run. Now, the shooters left the scene in the luxury vehicles. Investigators found a Louis Vuitton bag on the pavement containing $40,912 in cash. The forensic link was a modern intersection of social media and criminal investigation. Federal agents, they matched the serial number of a $100 bill found in the bag to a bill that Lontrell had displayed in an Instagram photo days earlier. Yo, that technical oversight? Yeah, that transformed a state-level robbery into a federal Hobbs Act case. The prosecution argued that the robbery affected interstate commerce. Now, this moved the stakes into the federal system, where sentencing guidelines was rigid AF. In January 2022, Lontrell entered a plea agreement to avoid a potential life sentence. He pleaded guilty on 1 count of conspiracy to possess a firearm in furtherance of violent and drug trafficking crimes. On April 20th, 2022, U.S. District Judge Kevin Michael Moore sentenced him to 63 months in federal prison. Now, the court dropped the more severe counts in exchange for his admission of guilt. Lontrell was processed as federal inmate 16301-509 and sent to FCI Canaan. Now, this dude's incarceration didn't stop his commercial momentum. His label released Shiesty Season Certified while he was behind bars. Now, the project maintained its position on the Billboard charts. His audience didn't view the sentence as a fall from grace. They saw it as a confirmation of the authenticity that he was claiming up in his lyrics. By 2024, Lontrell became a candidate for early release under the First Step Act. He earned credits through vocational programming and time served. On October 6, 2025, reports confirmed his transfer from federal custody to a residential reentry center in the Memphis region. His return was a massive social media event, but he remained under strict federal supervision. The release conditions are stringent. He's got to submit to drug testing. He can't associate with known felons. He needs federal approval to travel for professional activity. The study of Pooh is a study of gravity. The industry gave him a platform, but the environment dictated his movement. The $40,000 left on a Florida sidewalk serves as a symbol of the friction between wealth and background. He became a global star while operating on local logic, and as of 2026, he's navigating the second act. The industry has scaled his reach, but the legal system has narrowed it, and his legacy remains bound to the Canebrake soil. It's a foundation that provided the raw material for his success and the architect for his confinement. Now, the question now is not whether Pooh can make music again. That answer's already written. The real question is whether distance can weaken the pull of Canebrake. Every artist eventually reaches a moment where survival demands change. For Lontrell, that change doesn't mean erasing his past. It means choosing what parts of it to continue forward. The streets taught him how to speak. Prison taught him how quickly silence can arrive. Now, his second act is not going to be measured by chart positions or streaming numbers. It's going to be measured by restraint. Fame gave him visibility. Discipline is going to decide how long he keeps it.